near the wall. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Grand slam, Addison Russell.
The new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
And Richardson breaks free on the sideline. End zone. How about that?
Bama scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And these them Louisiana, Pensacola guys, they looking crazy and all that.
Morris, blocked by the tight end Paul. That opens up the door. Breaking the Cambridge tackle. To the pylon. Touchdown.
A nice effort there by Alfred Morris, extending that ball over the goal line.
Near side ball is that big game. Doug Baldwin's got a first down. Doug Baldwin, 93 yards, now has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
Reggie Evans, and he's going to get an ovation. Guy from Pensacola, Florida.
Welcome to the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. I am Chad Berliante. Glad to be with you as we broadcast on this Friday evening, having some fun as always. NFL Draft Round 1. Couple exciting time. Overall, it was one of those that, Daniel Jones shocked a lot of people. We're going to have our takes on that. We're also going to get to, the Jeffrey Simmons situation, what's happening with Tyreek Hill, and overall, who had the best draft. As you can see, Daniel Jones, I'm going to take a little bit of a different side, and this side's not going to be just about Daniel Jones. It's going to be more about the quarterback in the NFL. A lot of times people want to look at the headline, but they don't want to read the paper. It's a society we live in. How many times have you, look, I'm not the only one that may or may not have pop-ups now on your computer because you clicked one of those ads. You won't believe what celebrity lost 100 pounds and looks so good in that bikini. And you're like, oh, I'll check that. What the heck, man? What is this? All of a sudden, we all get conned by headlines. Headlines look great. But then you read the story, and it's a little different. It's like that guy in New York that tried to lie to us and said that when Jeremy Lin had a bad game, and it was written in the paper, chink in the armor, that he was just going out there and it was coincidence that he had a bad game. Come on, dude. We're not buying it. Sometimes the headlines tell it all, and we're going to have fun with that as well. Back in our network studio, holding down the fort, doing a great job each and every day on Talk Football with Coach K. Also, you can catch him right there on Sports Call on the weekends from 11 to 1 with our good friend Davis Allen. It is Jordan Glass. Jordan, what's happening, my friend?
Not much, man. I got to tell you what, I've kind of been following this Josh Rosen situation a little close today because there's rumors that Miami and Arizona could possibly work out a trade, sending him to the Miami Dolphins. But the latest thing from this is actually Steve Smith making some comments that I feel are a little out of bounds and a little inappropriate for him to be making about Josh Rosen. Basically, he called Josh Rosen out for being immature. He called him out for basically unfollowing the Arizona Cardinals on Instagram. That's basically what this stems from. And that's a little ridiculous to me because, here's the thing, is this guy knows that if they drafted Kyler Murray, they were going to trade him. He wasn't going to be playing as part of that team anymore. They drafted Kyler Murray. Why stick around and why still support that team? You know they're going to get rid of you. Why stick around and support them? It's kind of a done deal that he's out the door, whether it's through a trade inside the draft or something later on. There's no feasible way to have Kyler Murray and Josh Rosen in the same quarterback room there in Arizona. So he knew he was gone. And I find it interesting that one of the guys that's the biggest trash talker and one of the most immature players when he played on the field, calling out a guy that just, by the way, finished up his rookie year for being immature. I don't know. I think Steve Smith kind of overstepped his bounds here talking about Josh Rosen because, it really doesn't match up. He's sitting here saying Josh Rosen is throwing a pity party and a temper tantrum. I don't really see that. I think Josh Rosen just sees the writing on the wall and is cutting ties and saying, you know what, it's time for me to move on to a different place inside the NFL.
You know, and I think at this point, one of the things that we always look at with any of our athletes is, and you can weigh in on yesterday's NFL draft if you want to be part of it. As always, give us a ring. 850-972-1945 is the number. That's 972-1945. We're going to talk a little with Dr. Edwin Roberts Jr. coming up here in about 10 minutes. John Steele of the Retirement Planners will join us as well. And then at 6 o'clock on ESPN, we're going to send it over to Blue Wahoos Baseball on the road against the Jackson Generals with first pitch at 6:05 with Chris Garagiola. But you look right now, and one of the things that everybody looks at is athletes as commodities. You know, and what I mean by that is we want to see them be the kind of person that shows up. Nobody cares when the game gets over. If they're out having a couple tequilas make me crazy, or they're having a horrible time behind the scenes like what Jimbo Fisher was dealing with getting gator chomped right there with his ex-wife and Taylor Jacobs. You never know what is happening behind the scenes. All you know is what you see in the foreground. Guy shows up, supposed to do his job. And I think a lot of us are under the suck it up theory, where if you're in trouble or you're having a bad time, when you go to work or you do something, you suck it up. You deal with it. You deal with that later. I'm telling you, though, a lot of times with these guys like Josh Rosen, from everything I've heard and everything I know, is not the kind of guy that guys go afterwards, and it's like one of those Michelob Ultra commercials where they're all cheersing and having fun down there at the park. Nobody is friends with this guy when it comes to being one of the dudes. Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, guys like that seem like the cool guys, like they can hang out. But when you're talking about Josh Rosen, little smug, little arrogant, pompous, knows he's good, but the other guys on his team don't always get along. Same thing, that was the story at UCLA. There was a heck of a spiral. And I think a lot of people realize that, and that's one of the big reasons why within the locker room, within the clubhouse, with Cliff Kingsbury, one of the cool guys, guy that looks like a Ryan Gosling 2.0 for the ladies, you know, always wearing the shades, looking styling on the sidelines, hair slicked back. And Rosen wasn't getting along with the team. Now you bring in a nice guy like Kyler Murray, the team going forward. Jordan, more than ever in sports, because Dan Marino could be a good old SOB to a lot of people if you know him. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that have been that way. I'm sure Broadway Joe, after that moment with Susie Colbert, I'm sure that wasn't the last one of some of those moments with his teammates. However, it means a ton today to be able to get along with the people in your locker room, more than ever in the game. Because if you're not, you're going to go down a road where people are not going to want to be around you. They're not going to want to protect you. And if you're an offensive line that doesn't want to block for somebody, it could be real bad. And Josh Rosen, even though he throws a good spiral, one of those drills where you got the cardboard cutout coming across, Dr. Pepper at halftime, throwing it through a net. It's pretty good. But when it comes to being a team player and getting it done, nah. And right now, I think people need to realize that had a big part with them moving on from their first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand where the whole thing of you've got a vibe with the locker room. I definitely understand that. But my whole thing is just because he unfollows the team on Instagram doesn't mean he's immature, doesn't mean that, he needs to be called out on national television. Look, how many players are going to still follow the team that more than likely they're going to get traded from? And honestly, you know what? He probably feels a little slighted from the Arizona Cardinals because they're just they're just kind of tossing the job to somebody else. They're not even really giving him the opportunity to excel at that job with a new coaching staff. So, I can kind of understand where he would be upset by this, and that's kind of where I come off with thinking Steve Smith might have overstepped his bounds a little bit by calling out Josh Rosen on the air, because I think Josh Rosen, look, yes, he may not have been the most well-liked guy inside that locker room, but he at least deserved a better shot than what he got.
You're right. I mean, look, there's two parts to this. Josh Rosen should feel slighted right now. If you get drafted in the first round by an NFL team, and you're the starter for that NFL team, and you get benched in the first year, I mean, you don't get another shot after year one, then you should feel like, hey, what the heck's going on? Like, the Arizona Cardinals should have done their research. This guy didn't just wake up and become a smug, arrogant, pompous, he didn't wake up yesterday. He's been this guy. And we're sitting here talking about them, and now look, they're playing in Arizona, thousands of miles away right there. I made that drive through I-10 through places like Benton, Arizona, where look, the tumbleweeds in that door, hello, waiting for Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of moment coming at you. Like I've been through those places with the 3 Bs, beer drinking, bingo and bull riding, and that's it. If you're lucky, there's a Bass Pro Shop. I've been through those towns when I lived in Las Vegas. The cool part about Las Vegas is it's cool. Drive through places like Laughlin or drive through even to get to Reno and have fun in Nevada. Everybody says Las Vegas. It's in a state called Nevada. And try to drive through Nevada and have some fun throughout an afternoon. It's, good luck. You get lost on the wrong route, your Garmin tells you the other way, and, you might not be coming home. Just saying that. But at the same time, Josh Rosen, you can say what you want, but the Arizona Cardinals did slight him. If you're going to draft somebody in the first round early and you're only going to give them 1 year, that's not fair. Troy Aikman, pretty decent quarterback, went on to be a Hall of Famer, won 3 Super Bowls. Michael Irvin, making it snow in June. If you get that, you're laughing. Emmitt Smith, all-time greatest right there in Pensacola, one of the best right here, all-time leading running back. Now, all of those guys, if you would have just said, nah, we're done in the first year, what would have happened was Troy Aikman would have been a 1-15 quarterback. He would have moved on, another UCLA guy, would have moved on, nothing would have ever happened, and we would have known about the dynasty that was the Dallas Cowboys. Because Peyton Manning, I think he's the best all-time regular season quarterback. Now, the best quarterback of all time goes to the GOAT, which is Tom Brady. Go Sox, go Patriots, go Bruins. I'm not gonna lie here, but deflated footballs or not, when you have 6 rings, Lord of the Rings, you're doing the speaking for yourself. Peyton Manning during the regular season would just crush everybody every single year. Peyton Manning in his first year had more interceptions than touchdowns. You would have ended it on Peyton Manning, he would have been Cooper. You never know what these guys are going to do by 1 year in the NFL, and that's not fair. You can't give a guy 1 season to learn and adjust to the NFL game and think it's going to be the same. And I'm not going to say Josh Rosen had the signs to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But what we saw last year from him wasn't enough to me to say this guy is done in the NFL. There are some guys that you watch, and you can use your 2 eyes. I think the biggest problem today with our society is we want to read everybody else's crap, and we don't want to decide for ourselves on things. And I'm speaking for everything, from politics to sports to life. We want to read somebody else's opinion and then jump on board instead of starting to think about it. It's like these guys named John. You get a guy named John Smith, who is the whitest of white CPAs or stockbroker in town, and he's going to go in there and he's going to protest for the Washington Redskins and Native Americans. Like, I don't care what he has to think. If a Native American told me that they're offended by the name, then I'm going to listen for a little while. I'm going to say, okay, you tell me why, and I'm going to sit down and I'll listen for you. And I'll hear out your causes and concerns, and we'll okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But why is this guy taking up that cause? Like, what are you doing with your time? Why are you wasting your time on this? It has nothing to do with you. People today just want to be part of something. They want to join on something. Be in the cool gang, yeah, instead of thinking for themselves. And I'm sick of it. And I'm tired of, in sports, a lot of times people want to make decisions or do these kind of things instead of watching. And what I saw from Josh Rosen, and everything that comes out of my mouth on the show from day one, and I know I'm being a little bit harsh right now because this is how I've always been. I'm not going to give you an answer that the networks wants to hear, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to tell you how I feel. And I think that Josh Rosen is not done in the NFL. I'm not saying that he's going to be a great quarterback, but he didn't do anything last year to me to say he never can get a shot. He can grow, throws a great ball. His offensive line was horrible. It's like my 3-year-old daughter trying to block him at left tackle. Wasn't fun. It's like the movie Blindside, but instead of Michael Oher, it was Sandra Bullock blocking him. And the thing is, you can't have that and just base that one season on he's done and give up on him. So what you're saying right now, Jordan, I agree with that because I don't like Josh Rosen as a person, but Arizona definitely slighted him when it came to if you draft a guy in the first year and you go 5-11, and you throw a couple picks, and then you send him to the back, or at least you don't work with him or tell him in advance, hey, look, we got the number one. You got the number one pick. You could have said 3 months ago to him, look, we're going to get Kyler Murray if you want to start thinking. But they don't care about the other teams. Jimmy Johnson, when his hair never moved in Dallas, said this a long time ago. Why would I trade somebody or do something to help out another team when I don't have to? It's all about the game, the business. So they don't care about what Josh Rosen feels. But they could have let him know well in advance, hey, look, you're not going to be the future. We're going with Murray. We want you out. And now, right now, there's going to be teams looking. But, Jordan, I'm not ready to say yet that his career is over just because that Kyler Murray, which I don't mind Arizona doing that because he could be a game changer. But Kyler Murray's not done. And I think Arizona definitely, by drafting a quarterback last year in the first round and giving up, did him an injustice.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think as far as Josh Rosen goes in the NFL, there's going to be a place for him. You go back and you watch some of his highlights last year, some of the throws he made, and then they were showing these on NFL Live earlier this afternoon on ESPN. Some of the throws that he made last year were some of the top throws in the NFL. He made elite quarterback throws inside the NFL. So he has the arm strength. He has the talent. He just needs a team that has an offensive line that can protect him. He needs a team that's got skill players around him outside of just somebody like Larry Fitzgerald, who, was a couple of years past his prime. He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's not going to be out there running the ball up and down the field like he did when they went to the Super Bowl against the Steelers. That's not the same Larry Fitzgerald you have on the field for the Cardinals now. So I think if Josh Rosen can go to a place that has A, an offensive line to protect him, and B, it doesn't have to be great skill weapons, just more than what he had at Arizona, I think we're going to see a big-time upswing. And let's not forget, you were naming off quarterbacks. You said Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning. Look, Jared Goff's career started off horribly, and then all of a sudden he gets in a new coaching staff in there. And this was kind of been my argument for Josh Rosen in Arizona, is a new coaching staff could have worked wonders for him. Now it looks like it's going to be a new team. So we'll see if we have those same results. But, yeah, like I was saying, I think a new place, a new coaching staff, if they have an offensive line, if they have the skill players at receiver and running back, and you look at Miami. Miami doesn't have great skill players offensively, but they have more than what Arizona does. And I think also you pair him with a guy like Kenyon Drake. I think that could be a great matchup there for the Miami Dolphins. So if they can get this trade worked out, that actually could be good for both teams involved, because Arizona gets another draft pick in this year's draft, and Miami would get a quarterback that could, if all things work out, be their franchise quarterback moving forward.
Well, and yesterday was a good day in the draft. Round 2 will be tonight. For the one guy that booed the kid that got to do the pick for Tampa in the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I hope you went to church today. That's all I'm going to say. We're coming back for more. Dr. Edwin Roberts Jr. will join us, and then John Steele from the Retirement Planners to break down and have some fun as we break down some financial planning and put a little twist in sports. It's all coming back on this Friday edition of the Sports Drive.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Springtime is almost here. It's the perfect time to tackle the next job on your list, and AutoZone has the free services to help you do it. With the AutoZone Rewards program, members get more, like a $20 reward every time you spend $20 or more 5 times. And right now, get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic or Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil and an FTP Extended Life Oil Filter for $17.99 after a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5 is all sports all the time. Talk football year-round with local sports legend Coach K. From quarterbacking the Pensacola High Tigers to coaching the Buffalo Bills, Coach K's life has been all about the game, the teams, the players, and the coaches. Talk football with Coach K at noon on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Springtime is almost here. It's the perfect time to tackle the next job on your list. And AutoZone has the free services to help you do it. With the AutoZone Rewards program, members get more, like a $20 reward every time you spend $20 or more 5 times. And right now, get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic or Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil and an FTP Extended Life Oil Filter for $17.99 after a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
ESPN Pensacola has you covered from the national and local levels. From Golick and Wingo to the Sports Drive, the Paul Feinbaum Show to talk football with Coach K, we have it all. It's the latest and best in sports talk radio, making us Pensacola's hometown sports network. ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on HD Radio at HD2 98.7 WICT, and streaming online at our website at ESPNpensacola.com. We should be good.
The winner takes all. It's the thrill of one more kill, the last one to fall.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. Thanks for joining us as always. Coming up tonight, Game 2 against the Jackson Generals, best team right now in the Southern League. The Pensacola Blue Wahoos will be in action at 6:05. We'll continue to roll here on Blab TV and have some fun, but we'll send it over to first pitch on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 at 6:05. Joining us to talk a little college football, NFL, and more coming up will be Dr. Edwin Roberts Jr. of Dr. Roberts Chiropractic. You can check them out in the Mobile Shopping Center. They've worked with athletes like Trent Richardson and Emmitt Smith for decades, and we'll continue to try and get that call in here soon. John Steele from the Retirement Planners will join us, too, to break down some fun as well. And getting the word there from Jordan, no answer on that. Okay, Jordan, I understand. We'll try to get him again here soon. Looking at some of the big things of what we saw in yesterday's draft, I want to break this down for Daniel Jones. And this isn't about Daniel Jones. It's more about doing your research. And what I mean is when you're, the 5 Ps, and I know it says different, but the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And you could slice it however you want. Obviously, it could be said differently. But at the same time, what I mean by that is if you've said, I've watched Daniel Jones play at Duke, and this guy's a bum, and I believe it because I don't think he throws good football, and I don't like him at quarterback, then good for you. But if you're saying he played at Duke, he got beat by Wake Forest, and he's a guy that was a 6-6 quarterback in college, if that is your platform for why he's not going to succeed in the NFL, then shame on you because you obviously haven't paid attention to the NFL. Because if you look at the NFL right now, who is our MVP? Guy that gets out there, I like to put ketchup on things, Tyreek Hill over the middle. I got guys like, I love to see you. My girlfriend's hot. She's blind over here from Texas Tech, and I've got a great tight end, Travis Kelce. I love it. I just love being a Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes doesn't look like how he sounds at all. You thought I got that man like all slick, man. Got the guy over the middle looking cool. Like, doesn't say, I love throwing the football. When he does his first interview, it's hilarious. When Patrick Mahomes does not look like, sometimes the sound of what comes out of the voice with the person is pretty funny, and it doesn't match up. But Patrick Mahomes, great guy, great quarterback, MVP of the league. 6-6 on average during his college career at Texas Tech. Texas Tech didn't really make anything out of a bowl game we probably didn't watch in December. It's a good quarterback. Nobody really, when he got drafted, Patrick Mahomes, what is this right here? He went ahead of Deshaun Watson. The guy won a national title. Pretty good quarterback. Really good quarterback. The MVP of the league. 6-6. Jared Goff Jordan was just talking about him. Guy that sat out there was 5-7 at University of Cal Berkeley. The Golden Bears didn't play like Jack. 5-7. And a quarterback that didn't make bowls, you don't go to a bowl at 5-7. Some do, and that's a horrible rule. You should be a winner at least to get to a bowl. At least 6-6, at least. But if people would have just gone, well, he played at Cal in a bad Pac-12 and he went 5-7. You didn't do your research. Jared Goff would be a loser too. Just went to a Super Bowl and finished third in the MVP voting. Jimmy Garoppolo. Sounds like something you get checked at an infirmary that you can college when some girl you sleep. Almost, son, sit down. You have Garoppolo. No, is this over? I don't know. No. Jimmy Garoppolo plays for the San Francisco 49ers. Just got paid $137 million. He went to Eastern Illinois. I never watched one of their games and never will. Don't even know what their mascot is, and this is what I do for a living. Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois also has Tony Romo, Joe Flacco, Delaware, Big Ben, Miami of Ohio, Drew Brees, Purdue, Tom Brady didn't start, 6th rounder out of Michigan, go to Carson Wentz, North Dakota State, don't you know? Nobody had heard of him before the Senior Bowl. Joe Flacco, Delaware, Blue Hens, and more. The quarterback in the NFL doesn't have to be from the Roll Tide, doesn't have to be from Clemson, doesn't have to be a Heisman winner like Jameis Winston at Florida State, getting some crab legs. Doesn't have to be that guy. So for everybody today that's laughing and mocking Daniel Jones, and this is not to say Daniel Jones because I think they could have got him at 17. New York could have waited until the 17th pick, and Dave Gettleman could have got him instead of drafting him at 6. So for that matter, probably a poor choice. But if he's their guy, he's their guy. But if you're sitting here today and you're listening, I've heard all the shows today. I heard Dan Le Batard, and I heard Stephen A. Smith and all the guys throughout the day, Paul Feinbaum, everybody. But if you're just basing it on that, Duke, 6-6, lost to Virginia and Wake, you're not seeing what's happening in the NFL. You're not paying attention because the NFL and the quarterback position, there is no correlation between you have to go 13-0, you have to be a Kyler Murray, a Baker Mayfield story, you have to be the future Tua or Trevor Lawrence in order to be a great quarterback in the NFL. If that was the case, Johnny Manziel should be throwing for 3,000 yards and not getting kicked out of Canadian football leagues. But the difference is, don't judge Daniel Jones by Duke or 6-6, because that's not fair. And it has been proven over and over and over again in the NFL. And I hope I gave you a little bit of research today, a knowledge, because people don't do the research. This is my job. But across the board in the NFL, to the 32 teams, 19 of those teams that have starting quarterbacks right now are quarterbacks that had 500 records or less or played in mid-major conferences. It is not the type of position where you have to be a star at the biggest. You don't have to be Quinnen Williams from Alabama to be a great. You don't have to be Devin White, linebacker from LSU. You could go to a school we've never heard of in Division II and become a great quarterback in the NFL. So give Daniel Jones at least a shot. But if you've watched him play and you believe he sucks, then good for you. But if you actually are just basing it just on the accolades he played at Duke and they were mediocre and they lost to Wake, then you're being ignorant and unfair. If you want to laugh at the Giants for drafting him 6, go ahead. But for the people saying you drafted a crappy quarterback, if you're basing that and you're not watching him play, because the guy was a Senior Bowl MVP. We covered him right there in Mobile. And the scouts and people that I have a lot of respect. We actually had the head of the entire Senior Bowl in studio with me, sitting right here, one of the nicer guys, and he sat here, and we went over everything going on in Jim Nagy. Jim Nagy, who took over for Phil Savage, and Jim sat right next to me, and he spent 17 years with Seattle and the New England Patriots as part of their scouting team and helping delete records off Tom Brady's phone. Just kidding. But he would sit there, and we went over, and he said, we're lucky to have Daniel Jones. There's a couple of those guys. Nobody knew who Carson Wentz was. When he got drafted number 2 by the Philadelphia Eagles, people laughed. A North Dakota guy. What is this? Show Fargo coming on. Guy goes out there, he had an MVP season before he got injured. Don't judge him just based on that. And I'm just saying, give him a fair shake. and at least do some research before you mock a guy. Because that's what I feel like that's all I've heard today, and it's not fair. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more NFL draft, but we're going to get to some financials and have some fun with John Steele, the retirement planners. After a busy day, a lot more millionaires out there after last night's NFL draft from Nashville. It's all coming back right here in the Sports Drive.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update. For your UWF Argos, softball splits a doubleheader on the road in Tallahassee on Thursday. They were taking on Florida Southern in the doubleheader. They lose game 1 of the doubleheader 4-3, but win game 2 1-0. For both softball and baseball coming up, it's a weekend series at home on UWF's campus, taking on West Alabama. For your Pensacola Blue Wahoos, they are victorious in extra innings. Took 10 innings of play to get it done, but the Blue Wahoos finished it off 5-2. The final score in game 1 of the 5-game series against the Jackson Generals. The next time your Wahoos are at the friendly confines of Blue Wahoo Stadium, that's coming up May 1st against the Biloxi Shuckers. I'm Jordan Glass with your Pensacola Sports Update on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Swing into spring at Bob Tyler Toyota with special low Bob Tyler prices on new 2019 RAV4 LE just $219 a month. New 2019 Camry LE just $179 a month. And new 2019 Corolla LE just $134 a month. Bob Tyler has over 10 acres of pre-owned inventory, including Toyota certified vehicles. Spring is in the air at Bob Tyler Toyota, and the savings are blooming all over. Approved credit, 12,000 mile, 36-month leases, $49.99 cash or trade equity down, excludes tax tag, registration, title, 0 security deposit. All prices include $899.50 dealer fees. Dealer for details. Expires 5/31/19.
Are you looking to upgrade your truck driving business? Lease on with Schneider as a tanker owner-operator and enjoy the freedom of running your own business while providing services to a large, stable leader in the trucking industry. Schneider's Tanker Choice means more options for you. Pick the loads and routes that maximize your bottom line. Take advantage of rising freight rates and see your annual revenue start to grow. Learn more at SchneiderOwnerOperators.com. That's SchneiderOwnerOperators.com.
Are you jailed at your job? Shackled to your sales goals? Restrained by reports? When the clock strikes 5, you're leaving those gray walls behind. Deadlines can wait. Because as the days get a little longer and the sun shines a little more, you'll find your freedom on the open road with Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Don't miss the 000 promotion happening now. 0 down, 0 interest for 180 days, and 0 payments for 210 days. Find your freedom at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, CraneWorks. The CraneWorks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give CraneWorks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call CraneWorks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Hey, Jan, did you look into my suggestion about switching to Sprint?
I owe too much to my wireless contract to think about switching right now.
Don't let that stop you. Sprint's offering up to $650 per line to cover your switching costs.
$650?
It's their way of giving you a clean slate. Plus, if you lease a new iPhone, you can get an incredible new iPad on them.
This weekend only at your local Sprint store. Switch to Sprint and we'll cover your switching fees up to $650 per line via prepaid MasterCard. And if you lease a new iPhone, we'll give you an incredible new iPad on us. Get to your local Sprint store this weekend and save. Less required phone trade-in credit provided after online registration and new phone activation. Amount based on early termination fee charged and remaining phone balance. Card terms, conditions, and exclusion apply. Member FDIC. iPad 6th generation, 32 gigabytes, $0 per month after 1917 monthly credit for 24 months credit. Apply within 2 bills. Requires new line on qualifying plan. If cancel early, remain balance due. Taxes due at sale.
Yeah.
And welcome back. Sports Drive with you right here. ESPN Pensacola 94.5 and on Blab TV. Happy Friday to everybody out there. It's, people today, oh my gosh, it's hot outside. Be like,
you know what today is for the average person out there?
What?
It's payday.
Is it payday
Yeah,
today?
it's time.
Why didn't I get that? I didn't get that memo.
It's time to go to Walmart. I mean, you know,
not for me. If everybody else go to Walmart, that's when I don't go to Walmart.
That's how a lot of people, man. They get the check on Friday and they got to go buy groceries and go to Walmart.
Joining us, John Steele from the Retirement Planners. Always great to catch up. And you know, John, I've been on a soapbox today, as you can tell. You've been here from earlier, behind the scenes back there. But you know, in your business, it's no different than the NFL draft. Everybody wants to pinpoint to a team or a logo or what they feel is right, but they don't watch these guys or they don't judge for themselves. And you might be wrong. People can be wrong on things, but doing your research doesn't change. But I love that people try to take, take credit for knowing things because it sounds good instead of actually doing it.
Actually, everybody tries to function from their opinion, okay? We used to have an old term in the Navy, and I can't go into it, but opinions are like what part of your anatomy.
That's right.
And it does not smell good. Okay? But in any event,
does not.
But that's where people go, and it doesn't matter whether it's sports or whether it's finance or politics. You know, everybody's got an opinion, and people don't want to do the homework. Everybody wants the instant minute, the Twitter response, the instant gratification. And, you know, I've watched you do your homework. Okay? Most people out there in your industry, my industry, and most of the others out there do not do their homework. They're just basically trying to draw attention. You know, they're trying to do their marketing to promote themselves, and they really, what they have to say is of not much value. You know, I watch this in my industry all the time. You know, I watch the talking heads and the pundits. You know, Maria Bartiromo, good lady, good show, but about half the people she has on there don't know what they're talking about. I mean, you know, they go, well, today the stock market's going to go somewhere. Yeah?
Yeah. It's going to move, yeah.
Yeah.
You can say things. Yeah.
It's going to go up or it's going to go down. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's really astute.
It's like
but
Bill
anyway.
Walton. Yeah, Bill Walton in basketball once said, "Tonight, under the Golden Arches, two teams will meet, and somebody tonight is going to find a way to win tonight's basketball game. If you score more points, you're going to be victorious." You know, like, thanks, Bill. Go to another Grateful Dead concert.
What a brilliant analogy.
Amazing right there.
Yeah,
Sometimes he gets paid a lot. But Bill's also a legend from UCLA. So
maybe I should wear my collection of Grateful Dead ties.
That's right.
I mean, I still got them.
Bill's lost a few brain cells, but you know what? Bill has done more than most people could do and was one of the best of all time. So, you know, there's other people that don't. But when it comes to the NFL draft, you know, the Daniel Jones factor is, I'm not going to say Daniel Jones is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and I frankly think the Giants picked him way too early. But when people today have just been bashing this guy because he plays for Duke and they got beat by teams like Wake Forest, and when you're in New York, you're going to get bashed, no matter what. But they're not bashing him. I've not heard, I watched him, and you know, in the third quarter, it was a 28-21 game, and he threw a pick in the end zone on a wide open route. But nobody says that. They're just looking at the facts of his record, and that's not fair if you look at Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, and everybody in the NFL today.
Well, that's true, but you take a look at these people, you know, just getting drafted and just getting kicked in, okay? That's not what makes a famous athlete.
Yeah.
It's performance, character, okay?
Protein shakes.
Protein shakes. You know, working hard, all of those, and a lot of those factors apply no matter what endeavor you go in, but sports in particular. And the ones who come in, you know, I think there was a guy, his name started with a K, Capper or something or like
Kaepernick.
that. I can't even pronounce
nobody's
it.
calling Kaepernick anymore.
Yeah, nobody's calling Kaepernick. But you see, the guy had some talent, had a little skill, okay, but he blew it because he has no character. Okay, and I see that across the board, and those are the kind of guys that actually get suckered in by the financial con artists, because there's a lot of guys out there who know how to play those egos, and they're good at it. Yeah, but in any event, so these people here, some of them are gonna come from backgrounds that are not necessarily wealthy or well-to-do. You know, there's nothing excites me more, okay, than seeing a college athlete going into the NFL, the NBA, or whatever, okay, and he turns around and he says, "Thanks, Mom." And there's Mama standing behind him, okay? I mean, now that, to me, I'm sitting there going, that's a real person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those who blow smoke, blow hard, I could care less.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those don't last long. I mean, it's sort of like Kaepernick.
Mhm.
Okay, he run through his thing, and now nobody wants to touch him.
No, and John, okay, yeah, these guys all quickly. I always say when we had a chance at the Senior Bowl to interview these guys, it's one of the biggest job interviews because if they can just suck it up for 3 months. Don't go out, smoke a bunch of pot with Granny, and go out there in the town and live it up or do anything stupid, get their headline in the paper for the wrong reasons, that they will be drafted early if they're projected, and they're going to make millions of dollars.
Yes.
Like they only
Their
have to wait.
life
Their
is
life
set.
is set at that point. Kyler Murray, he decided to not pick baseball. He was advised that, hey, there's a good chance you're not picking baseball because you'd be the number 1 pick. Even when we all sat and said, hey, he's a borderline first-rounder, Arizona liked him. Goes number 1. He's making millions upon millions, going to make a $25 million signing bonus and more down the road. John, if you were advising these guys and they walked into your office today, what is the first thing that these guys, these top-tier picks that are now 19 to 22 years old, what do you do with your money first if you make $22 million and you just got
My
that job?
first question is what do you want your life to look like? And if they'll say, well, I know I'll probably play NFL for 8 or 9 years, 10 years, and then I'm going to go off and do something else. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, we need to look at structuring your money so that you can do some of what you want to do now, okay, invest some in stuff that's going to pay off, and then break out even some more for down the road. In case you get hurt or in case something else happens, you got something to fall back on. All right, but at the same time, this is a thing that's a pet peeve of mine in my industry. If you go to any major brokerage firm, you walk in the door. I don't care if you're a $22 million new NFL draft pick. You walk in the door, the guy looks at you and goes, I'll build you a portfolio. I'll build you the best portfolio in the world. Yeah, and I have a lot of fun with that because it's never worked. The whole industry works that way. What you got to do is say, what do you want to do? Okay, for the next 5 years, I want to enjoy my life. I want to have some money I want to buy some real estate later, and then I want to be able to make sure that I could retire by the time I'm 50. Okay? You can't do that with one portfolio. That takes a different structure. But nobody does that, except me. I mean, I've been doing that for 30-some years. But that's what I would do is I sit down. In fact, I have clients come in now. A guy walks in and says, I got $1 million 401k. I go, thinking about getting ready to retire. I go, well, I said, so you got a $1 million 401k? He goes, yeah. I go, well, you got $1 million 401k, you're probably at a 30% tax bracket, correct? Yeah, I'm about there. I said, okay, you don't have $1 million 401k. You have a $700,000 401k, and Uncle Sam owns $300,000 of it. So maybe we ought to take a look at that and see how that's going to play out. But if people walk in today and they say, I have clients call me all the time. People have been with me for years. And they'll say, John, I just inherited $100,000 from Aunt Nellie. What should I do with it? I don't know. What do you want it to do? Because I have access to every investment that exists out in the industry. I can't pick a place where, most companies they go to, they have quotas and they got to sell X amount of things. I don't do that. Other places, they'll sell you whatever the hottest thing is today. That's fine. But you've got to say, I have a pot of money. I want this pot of money to do this. And then I can go shopping and find you exactly the right place to put it. And everybody else I know in the industries, got the cart in front of the horse. You walk in the door and you go, well, yeah, this is the greatest investment since pneumatic tires and sliced bread. So just give me a check and I'll take care of it for you. I don't work. I have sat down with people and had 4 visits individually in my office before I could even draw a conclusion of what they were trying to do. And they're saying, well, what do you think? By the 3rd visit, they go, well, where do you think I ought to put my money? Have you decided what you want to do out of life? When are you going to retire? What do you want to do in retirement? Let's get a picture. Because money is just a tool. And money, for achieving money, it's sort of like it says in the Bible, money is the root of all evil. Okay? No, the pursuit of money over things that are more important is the root of all evil. So you've got to look at it and say, okay, in my life, I want to, my dad, he's, God rest his soul, never had much money, retired railroader, okay? And he came down with colon cancer, and he spent about 3 years before it finally got him, and he passed away. My dad sat down every day for 10 hours a day at the kitchen table. He made these little yarn poodles on a metal frame, sewed the eyes in them. I mean, they were tough, cute little things. He could make 20 of them a day. And then what he would do is every quarter, he'd box them up and send them to St. Jude's for the kids. Okay? He found something that gave him value. And so when it comes to money, I had a guy, come in, yesterday, and he says, well, I want to retire. I said, well, what do you want to do? Because retirement is not the end, it's a new beginning. He goes, well, I haven't decided. I go, well, have you ever made a bucket list? No. Start one. I said, because I cannot put your money where it needs to be until you decide what you want to do in your life. And then I can position your money to support that. And that's, people just, it takes me sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 visits to get people to go, by gosh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these people today, they're young, and you'll see those stories of the Scottie Pippins making $130 million and going broke, and it happens in sports.
It happens all the time.
And hopefully it doesn't happen, and some of these guys get financial advisors like you. I want to go ahead and talk some more as when we come back with John Steele from the Retirement Planners. And at 6:05, we'll send out to first pitch with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos out on the road against the Jackson Generals. It's all coming back. Friday edition of the Sports
Drive. I have a special
back.
announcement.
Can't wait for that.
Big.
Coming back for more.
Hey, it's Ryan Russillo for the Russillo Show podcast. We've got Mike Schmitz breaking down all the potential lottery picks for the NBA draft and talking about the players that were in the title game as well. The AB feud with Juju and a Cerruti Magic Minute. The Russillo Show pod on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts.
On this week's Adam Schefter podcast, we're joined by LSU linebacker Devin White, Alabama offensive tackle Jonah Williams, Florida State defensive end Brian Burns, and Clemson defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. Find the show on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com.
Is the car you're driving 2012 or newer? If so, here's something you need to know. Today's newer engines run hotter, making them more vulnerable to carbon buildup, which could affect engine performance. Protect your engine with new Valvoline Modern Engine Full Synthetic, specially formulated to protect cars built 2012 or newer from carbon buildup. Learn more at modernoil.com. Valvoline since 1866.
Visit AutoZone now. Buy 5 quarts of Valvoline Modern Engine Full Synthetic and an oil filter for $33.99. See store for restrictions and details.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass.
A guy like Kyler Murray, great athlete, yes. We talked about it before, great athlete, got a lot of talent. Because of his size, I just see that being something that hurts him inside the NFL.
Then Davis Allens.
It's so much harder to be successful in the NFL, but is it beneficial for you in the long run?
Every Saturday morning on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Ranger Station.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting in the forest. 1 second, I'm having a smoke. Next thing I know, I'm face-to-face with Smokey Bear.
Wow.
And he told me it only takes 1 spark to start a wildfire.
Did you know 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans?
I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous and you're not. If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com. Only you
can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back, Sports Drive with you right here. That cat right there on TV was, he's got it
cool,
going on.
man.
He's a cool cat, man.
It's a cool cat.
It's a cool cat right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have this major announcement I got to make.
Yes, let's make it. John Steele.
This could be the biggest event of the spring in
Ooh,
Pensacola.
I'm excited.
I mean, it's big.
Let's.
Okay.
Please.
Tomorrow
Mhm.
at 11 a.m. till 3 in the afternoon is the grand opening of the new Office of the Retirement Planners at 8001 North 9th Avenue.
Oh, that's right by my house right there,
It's a
yeah.
bank building, okay? You're going to have wine and cheese, and I went down to Mr. Terabay, if you know who he is.
Yeah, from that, yes, I do.
Yeah, from Four Winds.
Oh, yes.
And I said, I want your best cheeses and your best wine.
And you had 40 things of cheese and 40 things of wine in your cart.
No, not yet. I pick them up tomorrow at 10:15, but
say,
I'll have it there then.
There's no way you're getting out with just one in there. But.
So we have cheese and wine, and for my redneck friends, I got a Yeti full of beer out under the,
Oh, there you go.
fridge,
Okay,
just in case you need it.
Or me.
You're all invited. Drop by, say hello. We're going to serve wine and cheese until we run out. So, come on by, 8001 North 9th Avenue, the Retirement Planners. Come, we'll roll out the red carpet for you. If you don't believe me, come look. I mean, it's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
The red carpet is there, man.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got that. But anyway, I want to invite everybody out that, if you want to come, please do. Come by, socialize a little bit. There'll be no sales presentations. We're not trying to sell
No.
you anything. In fact, I told my staff on the TV in the lounge area, I only want live African safari.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, you might get bit by a hyena, but, nobody's going to try to sell you anything.
Some people... just deal with that in life,
that's how it
get
is.
bit by a hyena.
But feel free. It's 11 to 3, and you don't have to RSVP. Just show up, and if we still have wine and cheese, you'll get some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Get there early, more wine.
I come early.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
And I was looking at, I went today and checked the wine. I'm looking at bottles of wine, and he's got price tags on $42.95 a bottle.
Oof.
$39 a bottle. I mean,
So
hey,
this is good stuff right here,
This
yeah.
ain't Mogan David Advantage.
No, this is not
ain't Thunderbird.
This isn't Livingston. You're not gonna. You actually wake up tomorrow and you'll say, I drank a lot, but I don't have that hangover that hurts for a couple days.
Yeah.
No MD 2020s in
or
there.
like when I was in the Navy in San Diego, we used to go buy. It was called Red Mountain Vin Rosé.
Mhm.
You could buy it in a gallon jug.
Ooh.
Okay, and it would cost you about $4.95 a gallon.
Yeah.
Okay, and you took it out because you couldn't have alcohol on the beaches in Southern California. So you went down to the chemistry lab and you got one of those rubber stoppers, with an air intake and a rubber straw coming out. And then you went out there at midnight the night before, buried it in the sand, marked your spot, and the next day you come out, lay down your beach towel, lay there, put the rubber tube in your mouth, and lay there all day, and nobody knew what you were doing. Anyway.
The thing, John, is I always said if you get anything from the gas station that has a brown bag on it, more than likely you're going to have a bad day the next day.
You think so?
I've learned that consequence a couple times, and you'll probably be using a brown bag the next day in the morning as well. Taking a look here at
I got to fly to Dallas next week, so I can bring you back some barf bags.
Okay, yeah, please do on
that
that one right there. John, when it comes down to with sports and athletes, how can a guy though? And I know we say that they just go out and they spend it, but how for the life of anybody? Because we're trying to fathom this, and I know that when we break down our lives compared to athletes, it's all relative to what you're making. But how can a guy that makes hundreds of millions of dollars blow it all without at least having some help to put a little of that money away?
Usually it's by the people he gathers around him who will stroke his ego, give him bad advice, and suck all of her dollar from him they possibly can. So I'm going to give your mom's old rule.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful who you choose as friends. And I don't care if you're making $80,000 a year or you're making $150 million a year. The same rule applies. Most of these people who have lost their money, or you can take a look. I mean, I believe there's a country western singer had long braided hair and smoked a lot of pot and rode a bus. Okay, went bankrupt twice because he got bad financial advice. His accountants skinned him and ripped him off. The people around him all milked him for everything they could, and he trusted them. So, the issue is, and this is like, I get a kick out of it because I go all the way back to when Joe Theismann broke his leg, okay, and dumped his absolutely wonderful wife for a movie star.
I'm going to see him tomorrow down in Destin.
Yeah, but in any event, he almost went bankrupt. And if he hadn't had the restaurant and the bar, when he broke his leg, he would have had no other income. So when you stop and think about this stuff, and how did he give up on his wife, who everybody in Washington loved his wife? She was just a sweetheart.
Well, that's maybe why he gave up on it.
But what happened?
In a different way.
Yeah, but what happened was this movie star moved in, focused on how to use Joe Theismann to elevate her career, and he got sucked in. Okay, and I've watched that happen, and you'll see it happen with a percentage of these young people. They're, all of a sudden, you go, hey, this guy's going to have about $110 million, and here they come, man. It's like parasites, and they just show up. When I was in the Navy, whenever we'd have a young sailor come aboard ship, okay, I was a chief petty officer on a couple of ships I was on, and I'd sit them young men down, and the first thing I'd tell them is the first 10 people that come up and try to become your friend on this ship, blow them off. Those are the druggies. Those are the troublemakers. Those are the ones trying to figure out how to get your money. I'm going to tell these guys in the draft, same thing. Stick to the people you know, okay? Stick with the people, and in fact, there's an old saying, stay with who brought you to the dance. Because what happens is they get this money, and they get all this publicity, and they get all of this feeding of their ego, and then they become vulnerable to the vultures that come in on them. And the next thing you know, they got all these guys telling them how great they are, how wonderful they are. Hey, here's a good investment. Let's put a little money over here. I'll take care of this for you. And the next thing you know, the guy looks around and he goes, my check bounced. It really comes back down to the same old common sense. And I've seen some guys, get drafted, make that kind of money, and they never lose their grounding. And who was it I was listening to, a couple months ago? He says, my mom handles my checkbook. And this guy's an NFL star, okay? He says, if I need money, I do the same thing I did when I was 15. Mom, can I have some money? And he goes, he says, I haven't lost a dime. But, and so my advice to these young people is this. Don't let your ego overload your posterior, okay? Stick with what works. Stick with the people that you have proven you could trust over the years, whether it's parents or really good friends or a great coach. Stick with those people. Keep getting advice from those people, because you understand the minute your name came down for that draft and that check's going to look like $110 million over the next 5 years or whatever it is, okay? You understand that is, if you ever driven down the highway and seen vultures trying to eat a dead deer on the highway?
I have,
well,
yes.
that dead deer's young NFL players, and all the vultures are on him. So that's my word of advice is to these young people. Stick with the people you know. Stick with the people you trust. And now all this money, you're going to have all these people. I deal with this all the time. Well, I have this sophisticated firm from Salt Lake City, Utah, managing my money. That's okay. And well, 3 years later, the guy finally brought his portfolio into me. That's the worst crap I'd ever seen in my industry. The highest paying commissions. Some stuff he's got he can't get out of for 25 years. And the guy's 60. Okay? So, he got sucked in. He goes, well, these are the same guys that handle all my brother's money, and he's worth about $10 million. I said, I'll guarantee your brother owns the same crap.
Yeah. This guy's got him too?
Yeah, they suck him in. So, young people, draft, stick with the people you trust.
There you go. You heard it here, John Steele Retirement Planners. Tomorrow, it's going to be a great event right there. The new North 9th Avenue. Get there early. Wine, cheese. It's going to be an awesome time.
All kinds of cheese.
Awesome. Well, look.
Several cases of very expensive
If I get some
wine.
good cheese, I won't be whining, but I will be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I understand that.
John, appreciate it.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah. Sending out to the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, and we're going to come back for more here on Blab TV.
Check out the third base dugout.
That's right. I love it. Coming back for more right here in the Sports Drive, and we're sending it to the Pensacola Blue Wahoos.
Tell your fan friends that you've switched to Pensacola's new ESPN. ESPN Pensacola 94.5. It's where you hear Chad Berlante's Sports Drive at 5, Coach K, and Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen. Plus all of your ESPN national faves like Gullick and Wingo and Paul Feinbaum. And if you'd like to be an ESPN sponsor or one of our promotional partners, just give us a call at 262-6000. 262-6000.